here. It is going to be on Data C. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our blue Terran player coming down from the land of China, representing Invictus Gaming, IG. He is XY.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have the Chinese Terran player himself. He is red, also representing Invictus Gaming, IG. It is Coffee.
The devourer of Oreos, as we've discovered over the past weekend.
Yes, he did beat Oreo in the WTL and had a lovely ceremony to accommodate it. I mean, we've had first-hand experiences with Coffee. I think we would both have to tend to agree that he is the ace player currently of Invictus Gaming. But he's up against a teammate, and teammates, or when we have these sort of team kills, they can always kind of bring in some metagaming coming into play, as I'm sure they're very familiar with each other.
Exactly, and especially when it comes to a player like XY, who really is adept at playing the player, even more so than playing the game at certain points. I want to be very optimistic here and say that we're gonna get a really close series.
Yeah, I want to be optimistic as well here. You know, it's a TVT. A lot can happen in these mirror matchups. They can be crazy. They can be insane. And even TVT as well. You know, I know that there's maybe a little bit of not even skepticism, but it has a little bit of stigma. That's it, about, you know, TVP being slow and boring and having like siege lines versus siege lines. But in current meta, in current day and age, I do think that there is a lot of like hyper aggressiveness early on. I do think a lot of players themselves will not avoid that situation if ever possible.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of very aggressive openings coming out recently in TVT, thanks Gumiho. But I want to say that Coffee, more so than probably any other Terran player, has never really been known for playing those slow, methodical styles of TVT. I mean, the build that I use over and over and over again, which is meant to cripple your opponent in the first like 6 minutes, was developed by Coffee himself.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, Coffee living up to his name when it comes to the hyper aggressiveness that comes with an overly caffeinated person. So let's go. Shout out to Monster Energy for being the sponsor.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Can't wait for Monster Coffee.
Cha-ching. As we do have 2 Reapers slipping into the main base already. XY did go for a reactive follow-up, by the way, so he is down in that Reaper count already. 2 SCVs going down. Even a third gets focused as well.
So many SCVs are going down, as well as that SCV that was building the supply depot. And because XY is using Coffee's build, you want to get that third supply depot as quickly as possible to prevent this, to prevent being supply blocked and having to delay any additional Reapers or any additional Hellions coming out.
Exactly, and I imagine because of that delay, XY, he's moving out across map with 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions. He's not waiting for an extra wave of production, and he wants to go immediately across map, especially knowing that Coffee just threw away his 2 Reapers, so he's going to be a little bit down when it comes to the overall army supply. There is 1 Cyclone ready and waiting, but it can be focused now.
Yeah, especially with some good enough juggling from the KD8 charges, 2 Cyclones and 2 Marines, though. I don't know if you want to juggle all that with only 3 Reapers.
Yeah, there was a window there, but XY missed that window. He could have tried to dive on top of 1 lone Cyclone, doesn't go for it in the end. Instead, he backs one up. He's going to be hiding here in the tall grass, and it looks like he will get 1 Marine for free. But again, it was a Scouter Marine. Now Coffee's fully aware of the positioning of that army.
And he's looking to take it out. He's being pretty aggressive here with his Cyclones, which is absolutely what he wants to do against this medevac in particular. Oh, but he doesn't target down the medevac, though.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It looks like a couple of the Hellions. 1 Hellion's going to go down. Nice hell pick up there by XY, keeping the second Hellion alive. Oh, my God, continuing to cancel all of those lock-ons, but will lose the Hellion in the end. He's trying to push on forward. He does have the power of a tank with this push.
Yeah, but enough time has passed that now so does Coffee. In addition to these 2 Hellions, or these 2 Cyclones, sorry, he even keeps the Cyclones alive as well as the rest of his army. You know, XY could siege up here, I guess, but that takes a sitting duck.
Yeah, I mean, he could. We do see that XY even commits even further, going for a massive drop here into the main base, going to try and evacuate, but at the end, he gets locked on by the Cyclones.
He really wanted to take out those Cyclones, man. I could see it in his movement of that medevac. He was like, okay, if I juggle the tank well enough, I can take out the Cyclone, but it seems like that was exactly what Coffee was counting on. He was able to take out the medevac in the end, thankfully for XY. He does keep one tank alive, but committing to this is not the best idea.
I was about to say the same thing. XY doubles down. He rallies literally every single unit across the map. I thought that he would be like counting his blessings after evacuating and escaping with one lone tank. I was shocked that he was able to pull that off, but he turns back around. He wants that fight, and as a result, he will lose both of his tanks and his Vikings as well.
Yeah, not a very efficient trade, to say the least. If I look at the units lost tab, Coffee has lost 6 Marines, 2 Cyclones, and 2 Hellions at the cost of 2 tanks, 2 Vikings. That alone makes it worthwhile. But then he gets a medevac and a bunch of Marines as well.
Yeah, exactly. XY just doesn't have a lot to work with right now. What he lacks in a ground army, he makes up for in Vikings. Don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of power in these Vikings able to zone away the air of Coffee as well as that Raven. So he's gonna try and flex that a little bit here, slowly leapfrogging forward. But this is just so hyper aggressive from XY, borderline all in.
We are never gonna see a third base in this match, or at least in this map.
Oh.
I was gonna say, the Viking zoning from XY was doing a really good job of stalling the aggression of Coffee, but the thing is, it's XY who wants to be aggressive here.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of being aggressive, he has to turn around a little bit here because the Marines that get into the mineral line, workers are falling left and right. We do have a couple of reinforcements, don't get me wrong. Looks like a couple of Vikings going to help clean this up. At the same time, in comes that main army.
Yeah, the tanks of Coffee are unsieged, but this is what happens when you don't have a ground army, when you don't have a buffer for your tanks. Coffee able to jump right on top of those sieged up tanks of XY, and we'll take game number 1.
GG, well played. XY again, like I'm shocked that after recognizing that he was unable to kill either one of those Cyclones, by the way, in the main base, and that he was barely able to escape with the tank, he could have turned around, he could have gone back home, he was like, nah, mate, let's keep going. And I was...
It ain't over till it's over.
I was like, mate,
I didn't hear no bell.
I was like, mate, the bell's been ringing these past couple of minutes, mate. What's going on? It was crazy, mate. It was crazy.
It really was. I mean, I appreciate that we are seeing a very aggressive style coming out from XY. You know, it's almost like he's trying to give Coffee a bit of a taste of his own medicine here, but you can't play that style against the player who invented that style, at least in the Chinese region.
I know, right? Do you know who you're playing against? Do you know who you're up against right now, mate? He's your teammate. He is Coffee. He is one of the most aggressive Terran players in the entire region right now. So I appreciate, as you said, I appreciate the tenacity of XY. You know, much respect to be had there. I imagine he also wanted to maybe catch his opponent off guard, really break the mold of what XY is known for, which is typically longer macro games. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that, but at the same time, you know, at a certain point, you gotta just recognize the situation and just give it up, right? Like,
yeah, gotta cut your losses and go back. And I mean, XY cut so many losses. Like you said, getting out of that main base with the tank, that should have been the moment where he realized, okay, I'm still fine.
Yeah,
I still go back home. I can still slow this game down, especially since I am prioritizing Vikings instead of Ravens. Coffee might want to be a little bit more aggressive, but I could do a whole lot to stall the momentum that he wants to push into me. Nah, I'm gonna be the one to push into him.
Yeah, like you can definitely imagine that, especially that final engagement on Coffee's side of the map there, where I believe XY had 3 tanks. He had 3 tanks and like I want to say 3 to 4 Vikings as well, trying to push on forward. Imagine if he had 5 tanks at that moment, right? If he had kept those 2 tanks alive from that earlier stage of the game, right? If he had been a little bit more conservative early on,
yeah. At that point, it really wouldn't have mattered at all whether or not he had Marines to buffer for those tanks. The
Yeah.
tanks themselves would a buffer for the tanks, especially with his Vikings being able to zone away the Ravens.
Definitely, definitely.
Fortunately, that's not what happened for XY.
Yeah. So you can definitely see like the logic and like kind of the overall idea of what he wants to go for. You know, work with a very fast tank count early on and kind of press his advantage. But he's gonna have to go a little bit back to the drawing board here as we are gonna be getting ready for our next game. Am I crazy? Did we lose our admin?
We did somehow. Yeah, we're gonna try to get in the middle or get to the bottom of that.
Yes. As as we are going to be getting ready for our second game, and it looks like game number 2 is going to be on Inside and Out.
Yeah, very much of. Well, I was gonna say a very different map from Data C. While both maps are a little bit condensed, we know that Data C is a very defensive map. It has a lot of bases that you can take advantage of. Inside and Out is kind of the opposite of that. But considering how aggressive XY and Coffee played out their Data C game, I have to wonder: is this just gonna be aggression times 10, or are we gonna see something a little bit different coming out here from our two players? Like you said, XY, he is known for being able to be very methodical in TVT. He is known for being able to really play the player and really stall it out, but we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the series goes all the way to the ace match from here. But yeah, so far we've had a really quick game number 1. Really quick games overall, honestly, today.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, that's something that you would kind of expect from mirror matchups, but on the other hand, we've also known many times, especially in PvPs and TVTs in the Chinese region, it's either super quick games that we've seen thus far, or no rush 30-minute, which we've seen actually a surprising amount of times in the previous DreamHacks in mirror matchups, specifically for the Chinese region.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out here as we are now finally diving into our second game. Hopefully not our last.
Hopefully. As we continue things off here on Inside and Out, we're in the bottom left-hand corner map, swinging all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of China. He is, of course, going to be representing Team IG, Invictus Gaming. We're going for a bit of a cheeky movement here with his SCVs. He is Coffee.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Inside and Out, we have the Chinese Terran player himself representing Invictus Gaming, IG, currently getting proxy raxed. It is XY.
Oh boy. What were we talking about? About hyper-aggression and Coffee being known specifically for that? This is one of many builds and openings Coffee can really do in this matchup.
Oh yeah, we saw him use it to full fruition in the WTL in the World Team League, and now we see it here as well. We have 2 Raxes being proxied outside the main base of XY. XY hasn't gone for an SCV scout yet. Honestly, there's not really much reason to do so for the time being. It's all going to be about how he reacts, as he is going to go reactor first.
Oh no. Yeah, already going for the double gas like this does indicate that XY wants to stay at home a little bit more and wants to focus more on his macro. Going for a reactor first, though, that's asking for trouble.
It means that he will not have a unit here in time for the very first Reaper here of Coffee. We do see Coffee going for a bit of an SCV scout, confirming not just the reactor, but also the factory as well. And here we go, the first Reaper is going to reveal himself.
And I was gonna say, you know, with reactive Marines, at least XY will have a bit of a quicker defensive force coming out, but he is going for reacted Reapers. It doesn't matter that he has a reactor on that. Coffee has the same production time as XY.
Yeah, we already see a couple of SCVs going down. At least the factory finishes. It would have been disastrous if the factory was unable to complete. We need that Hellion sooner rather than later. And now with the completion of these units, we are going to be seeing an equal force. But, oh, Coffee is now up one of these Reapers.
He is. How good is a micro, though?
Oh.
Very, very good for Coffee, because despite XY getting the first shot off, Coffee will keep 2 of his Reapers alive and pretty much reset the Reaper count here for XY.
Yeah, exactly. And here we go. Once again, great control here by Coffee, pulling back the weakened Reaper. Meanwhile, we do need XY to try and keep this SCV alive. Sorry, this Hellion alive. He tries to go for the repair.
Yeah, he almost gets it, but it immediately gets targeted down. Reapers plus Hellions for XY shuts down the aggression here for Coffee. Coffee is just doing such a good job of making sure he only has to fight 1 at a time.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a little bit of a repair here, but the Hellion goes down once again. Looks like XY is barely holding on there, barely going to maintain control of his main base, but he has lost a lot of workers.
He really has. But you know what? A little bit of a misproduction, a bit of a misclick for Coffee. Did make a Marine.
Ooh.
And that gives XY just a little bit of breathing room here.
Actually,
he's still behind.
Yeah,
massively behind, but he can breathe.
That is a pretty big mistake that we did have a Reaper instead of, a Marine instead. But despite that, like, Coffee has still dealt a lot of damage. Like, he's still, even though he's being pushed back now, he's already transitioning back at home. We have a factory, we have a CC on the way.
Yeah, much quicker than XY CC coming down. I cannot believe that Supply Depot actually got to the burning point.
Yeah, at least it does get repaired. XY maintains control of his main base. We do see that the bases here for both of our players are around the same time here, timing wise. But unfortunately, we do see XY falling behind a little bit in the tech. It just goes to show how much better the economy is of Coffee.
It absolutely is. Once again, isolating little bits of the army here. Coffee still able to get little advantages here and there, whether he's picking off Reapers, Marines, or SCVs. In the end, though, his Reaper aggression has been shut down. He does have to play out a bit of a longer game.
Yeah, and that scout was pretty important as well. 3 SCVs go down, and he also confirms the CC is on the way, so he knows that their XY is going for a 1 base all-in. He also confirms that this this tech lab is researching, and somehow, someway, the wall isn't a wall, and our Helium just find its way inside.
Yeah, single Hellion, not exactly enough to roast up a mirror line. I say that, but the Cyclone gets pulled away, and enough volleys from that Hellion were shot out to take out even more SCVs.
Exactly.
XY was on the road to recovery until that Hellion rocked in.
Exactly. And now Coffee, he is so far ahead in the worker count. He's up over 10 SCVs. We have a medevac. We have a couple of Cyclones as well. Coffee has map control, and he is looking to go across the map.
Yeah, XY doesn't quite have mag field yet. And look at that control from Coffee, man. Even lifting up the Cyclone just before the Reaper's able to take it out. XY may have mag field very, very soon, but he's down in the Cyclone count. Coffee has all of the tech that he needs going into the mid-game.
He really does. Our tech structures are here. Our production is here. He even has a 3rd CC on the way, because why the hell not? Because why not get further ahead in that economy? And, I mean, to be fair, because of that 3rd CC, Coffee is not going to be able to hit, like, a 2-base timing here to really take advantage of how far ahead he is. But, at the same time, he doesn't need to. There's no rush.
Well, yeah, there's no rush for Coffee right now.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a rush for XY, because as we can see, Coffee wants to be aggressive here. The Cyclones will lock onto the medevac and force a bit of a drop here from XY. Once again, despite the better Cyclones from XY, Coffee just has a better overall army with his tank, with his Marines, and now with a Raven as well. I do think that XY has done enough to stall Coffee's aggression, but Coffee's gonna try anyway.
Mate, I would go one step further. You say better, you know, army composition. I would say better control, mate, because that was 2v2 Cyclone versus Cyclone, and XY had Magfield. Despite that, Coffee was able to just out-control and clean that up anyway. Of course, the reinforcements did help, but even here, out-positioning his opponent, XY just rallying into tank fire, losing even more units, and Coffee, he's not done.
He is the master juggler here when it comes to his Cyclones.
He's a clown.
And he's the clown, but in a positive way.
In a positive way.
He's juggling really, really well. And now he doesn't even need to juggle because his tanks are just insane. GG is called, and Coffee, the juggler, will take that series 2-0 and advance to that decider match. Decider